Wednesday. Today is November 9th. Now today's our 45th meeting. So 45 times we've gotten together to talk. So that's a lot of times. So I think over a year. That's amazing.
Staying power. I think this is a real project. Let's keep her.
Yeah, 45 times. So okay. And so the recording's on. Sharing my screen. So last time, we talked about PR 217 here, relay test plan. I sent these notes already. We talked about different things going on in the Open Compute GitHub repo and some of the items Reshma talked about. And then this week, I think we wanted to talk about, at least what I know of, these 2 or 3 items here, PR 274, 278, and anything anyone else wants to talk about. So maybe we could get started, or if you have something, raise your hand and let me know. That's okay. Chris, did you want to get started with 274?
Yeah, I'll talk about the first 2. The first one's I'll share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was just an oversight on my part when I did the PR several weeks ago to switch to publishing to Azure Container Registry. There's a couple of Docker files that we're using in Dash that use base images, and I forgot to edit those. So the base images are still based on my old repo, and all I do is move which server they're coming from. It's no functional change. This is just a catching up, like technical debt. So this is a real trivial one, and you should be able to approve and release that. There's no change in actual content. It's just where found that reviewing someone else's PR actually.
Okay. So do I need to merge that one then?
Unless anyone has any objections, yeah, it's ready for merge.
Okay.
Thank you. And then the other one is, this is the bigger one. This is a redo of the SAI-Challenger PR that I filed the week of OCP, so that was like 3 weeks ago. And a number of concerns were raised, primarily from Gohan, and we met multiple times in order to understand the concerns and try to address them. And we think this PR handles those concerns. Also, there was just a lot of clarification and discussion needed just to explain some things. This is the revised version of the PR. I just closed the old one. It's cleaned up. It's significantly smaller. Has 30 less files changed. There was actually just some mistakes in the other one due to merging. We don't use a submodule coming from a private repo for the side generator. It's now a PyPy module. That's one of the changes. So I just wanted to present this again, and hopefully there'll be less concern and controversy over this. And we'd like to move forward with this, as soon as people are comfortable. Gohan wants it to be smaller, and according to the chat.
And I need to monitor the chat as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Take a look. Make it small. Okay.
I'm not sure how much we'd want to do in stages. I mean, I suppose what we could do is do the test cases second so that the test cases make it smaller. Sometimes big change requires a lot of changes, but Gohan, could you give us an idea of what 2 pieces you'd like to see it in? Would you like to see the framework first and then the test cases?
I mean, test cases is just few files. You're not going to save much. Plus, they're like just sample test cases. It's like.
Yeah, I'll need to take a look. I mean, just based on the PR, right? So, the description, there are many different parts, right? So,
yes.
So I think, I was wondering whether we can do based on those description, can we do a little bit smaller? I think, I need to look at the description, but too many. So I have a scalable test example, add OTG help module, SAI-Challenger submodule, extend the existing module, extend new cases on CI. Wow, too many things. Maybe no, scale traffic and SAI-Challenger, are they the same or different?
It's only one sample. That the scale is just one sample, so you can see how it's being used, the framework. It's the cases we are holding back for a subsequent PR, the actual bulk of the cases. So
This is just enough test cases to prove it works and run it in CI.
So bullet 2 is just one file or two?
scale, it's only one
file?
one sample, and I think then the func was the other non-scale. It's one inbound and one outbound. It's like, I don't know, 3 samples in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's there's some tests down here. Let's see, where is it?
And under SAI-Challenger?
No, it's under, I think, these.
Oh, there it was, test scale.
But a lot of these files are kind of trivial, right? Sometimes, well, maybe not, that's a good example. And then there's a lot of test case content here, okay? There are a lot of files, but I don't know that anyone needs to study them. You sort of take them on faith that they're running the test as advertised.
Yeah, those are the files that Anton demoed, or
Yeah,
Vladimir?
yeah. I mean, the real content, you can tell which files have impact and which ones are just, more examples of something. But 30 files in a pull request, 34 doesn't seem excessive to me. Plenty of pull requests are much larger than that. I mean, at some point you have to, when you have a sea change in a platform, you sort of bring in a bunch of new stuff. It forms the baseline for future work, and it comes at a certain chunk.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Gohan, maybe you could take a look at this. If you have specific comments or suggestions, we'll welcome the feedback, but we think we addressed all your primary concerns in our, one-on-ones we had.
Yeah, I'll take.
Okay. So thank you. When people take a look at that and give us review feedback if you would. If someone wants to load this dev branch and try it out, that would be great. And you can tell us it worked for them. But we've been running this in CI on the staging branches for some time. You can see in actions, here it's running, right? It's running in CI in the staging branch. And
Nice.
you can see, whoops, that was a mistake. That's not the one I want. I want to see the CI, actual CI. Give me a moment, please.
Sure.
Let's see, I got to find the right action. Here we go. This is where we actually run the BMV2.
Hmm.
And we run SAI-Challenger tests. It's pulling the Docker. Okay, now we're, here's, for example, some test cases that are running,
Mm-hmm.
Sending packets, etc. Right? It's all working. And, in order to make a pull request sort of make sense, you need the test cases to go with it. Otherwise, you're just submitting a framework with no proof that it functions, right? So we think this PR has the necessary minimum content in order to contribute this new framework with a few exemplary test cases, right? That show
It's
that
pretty elegant. Yeah, it's pretty
that's
elegant.
doing its thing. So that's our that's our proposition, and we hope it's accepted.
No, it's a great start for the community.
And just so you know, we have people working on follow-on test cases that will really demonstrate the value here, and ultimately they'll be able to scale to run on real DPUs. So, this effort's not just BMV2 based. The whole point of this effort was to have something that starts running on BMV2, but will also support large-scale functional tests and performance tests on real hardware. As soon as we can get hardware that has a SAI-Thrift interface, we will be able to show that this framework works and do demos on those hardwares. We're already using, let's say, elements of this PR, which would be the SAI configuration generator. We're already using the customized versions of that to configure vendor devices using proprietary APIs. And this pull request puts in the framework so that when everyone is implementing their libSci, we'll be able to run these same kind of functional and performance tests on hardware in a universal manner. So
Nice.
It's really awesome. Yeah.
So that's my presentation, and I'll stop sharing. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have questions about this PR or how it works or anything? Paul? No? Okay, and we did have one, let's
Seems Anton here.
Yeah, so we have Anton and Christina. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
you're,
Go for it.
Anton, will you share your screen?
Actually, about the PR 277.
Yes.
Okay, 1 second. Then.
And Anton, you had a question we were going to follow up on this week as well after your PR.
Yeah, so like I will start like verbally. So that's my idea was actually to make a PR for the second round to standardize test location, and I come to some to few questions there. So once.
So everyone, this is PR 277. Yep, in a minute.
Yeah. So that's one. Okay, so like right now we have some test cases in the Dash and some test cases in the Dash pipeline and some test cases in the test cases. So and my idea was to move everything to the actually to the test cases, to the functional ones, so where we committed SAI-VNet test case. And also I didn't want to just remove test cases. I merged existing scenarios to the single file and move it to the new location, and also started changing workflow to run tests from the standard one. That was the idea, and I would like to discuss actually. So what do you think about moving everything like under the test cases and having a single place? Because by the way, so in under the Dash pipeline, under the test SAI-Thrift, we have also other folders, and I need to clarify what we are going to do with everything else there, whether we will be moving, how, and Chris had some comments, so we can discuss them.
So I assume this would affect the people mostly running tests now, and so that would be, whoever on the call can raise your hand if you're running tests now. But for sure, Marian's running tests. I know Mersha's running tests. But what do you guys think?
It's okay from my side. I mean, it's good to have everything in one place and structured nicely, and this helps.
Yeah, I think originally I just started adding tests under Dash pipeline because that was the only place we had tests for the BMV2, and it seemed convenient. But people have pointed out we've got tests in lots of locations and we should consolidate. So I think the the basic idea to move them and sort of promote them up to the main test directory, I'm in favor of.
Yeah.
After that, it's just a matter of details. You know, we can talk about the details of which folder or how to name them. I'm totally fine with that.
Marian, what do you think? I didn't mean to cut you off, Chris. Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's fine.
Marian, does that work for you? Since I know you're running tests.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. Okay.
We also included Hanif here because
yeah, I was just gonna say Hanif from Broadcom does it, but he's out of office for 2 weeks.
Written tests also.
Yeah, he's out of office for 2 weeks, guys. So we can just let him know.
Yeah, I don't think he'll. This is just really just a kind of a refactoring our directories a little bit.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like there's any opposition. Gohan, how about you? Good.
So can we go to the PR descriptions? All tests under test cases.
In the Dash repo, we should. Yeah, I mean, for now we're all working under Dash.
No, I get that, but
Okay.
I think the so there were some scale tests and some tests can run the BMV2. So how do we differentiate them, or?
Okay, so at this moment we have 2 locations under test cases. This is like functional and scale. So and right now I'm playing only with functional one. So here I just updated README file because I split root README file and move appropriate description to each folder with the content of the each folder, what it will contain, and so on. So previously.
So this test, the side shift VNet, is that being removed or what?
No. It's still here. It's just a div, so it's not. I haven't changed anything in that file. So right now here we have only one file because I merged 2 previous ones. So test SciShift VNet and VNet V6. I merged them in the single file here. So name is like up to you because like it's work in progress. It's still draft. I wanted to have some comments but right now it's here. I also configured Docker to run it. About the Docker, by the way, I will have at the end one question. Verified that it's running, passing on BMV2, everything, and updated all README files that point to the proper location.
Hey, sorry, I didn't get it. I saw this test side shift VNet V6 being removed, right? So where does it go?
He combined it.
Oh, in the so in the same file. So right now that file contains 2 classes, like UDP packet test and UDP V6. So that's one file for both.
Why does it call experimental? Why the name is called as experimental?
So because it's draft. So like
It's a
let's
work in progress.
because yeah.
No.
So
Okay, no. The PR is a draft. I understand, but why this test is the name is called experimental?
Okay, so
agree.
that's the
I
first
agree.
question. So first name that come to my mind because we already have SAI-Dash VNet there, and I need to have a different name. So another suggestion may be SAI-Dash VNet BMV2 because right now it's not using size simplified. Sorry. So okay, so it's not using full here one to do. It's for BMV2 only. Test case it will be run only on BMV2. So we are going to fix it eventually, but not in this PR. So that's I can rename it to the with the prefix BMV2 or something like that. So if you have any,
then maybe you can make like a side dash VNet basics, right? So
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, but I think experiment it sounds like not not an official test, right? So, but it is it is a valid test. So but it's basic functionality, right? So, but I guess you moved it here, then how does people know? Okay, so in this functional test, some are running, can be run in the BMV2, some cannot.
So that's yeah. So that's all discussion. So we BMV2 doesn't have all functionality. It's in progress. I'm right now testing, by the way, one.
So can you add some tag in the in this in it and the
Like a PTF group?
I remember is this using the PyTest or
No,
using
it's
Yeah, it's Python.
No, this is PTF, right?
PTF. It's PTF.
no, but in terms of is it using, but the test framework is that PyTest or?
No. PTF is based on the unit test. It's unit test, so it doesn't have mark. So we can have group.
You can have a group.
Like in PTF, yeah. So that we can mark add group, for example. Yeah. So that's one is for BMV2 because it's also.
But for the SAI-Dash VNet test, is that the PyTest or is that unit test?
Unit test. It's
no, the other one. No, not this one, but the other one.
Not in this PR, maybe outside. So that
no, I get, but it's in the same directory, right? So.
No. So in the functional directory, we have only PTF test cases.
Should we anticipate other types of test cases and maybe have a directory for PTF versus PyTest or SAI-Challenger, et cetera? Because this is going to grow, and I think it's a valid point. And that's one thing I tried to do in the old Dash pipeline directory is articulate which framework was running them.
Yeah.
I think we better anticipate 3 frameworks we have now, and they all have their place, right?
But why focus on the framework?
What is 3 frameworks? Yeah.
Well, 2 at least. We'll have PTF and PyTest. And
yeah.
PyTest, I guess you could say there's going to be, we'll probably won't have vanilla PyTest framework. We have SAI-Challenger is essentially PyTest. So, 2 broad categories, PTF and PyTest, and we should articulate them so you can run a test on the whole directory, right? I think that's.
Yeah, I mean, if they are in different framework, I guess we shouldn't put them into the same folder because otherwise, people will be confused to run them because the running method will be different, right?
Yeah.
In that case, like, okay, so that's. I can recreate the same like folder structure. Let's look.
You can just move it. You could just move it, right? That's the first step.
Yeah, that's as well.
Yeah.
I wanted just to merge 2 test cases because it then has like less. It uses less space because they anyway have a copy paste in the more than 50%. Okay, so right now we have in under the tests we have PTF and PyTest. So like you suggest to have the same like PTF and PyTest.
Well, yeah, Anton, think about in the future if we have tests that are not just SciThrift, right? What if we have GNMI test or some other kind? So it's almost like we want to take that whole SciThrift directory and put it under test cases. That's another possibility.
I have a comment. I actually strongly disagreeing to have any framework name in the folder structure for test cases. Test cases should be feature oriented for the product, in my opinion. And when I click run, I don't care what frameworks run it behind the scene. I want to see my blah, blah, blah feature test case is running. Why do I care 2 cases are run with one framework and 3 with other framework? I want to see my 5 cases passing or not and no functionality of my product. But that's my strong opinion on this matter.
By the way, we can work around this by that script. So we have script run. So currently I have run functional test in this. So here we have currently a single command for run PTF test cases. Maybe if we let's extend it if and when we have other test cases there. So once we have right now a single one, so that's okay. So we can even like list them, everything what we want. So if we will have some,
I think from the user point of view, right? So I think what you said just makes sense. But I think from the developer point of view, it may be confusing, right? So if you mix different test cases in the same folder, so usually when the developer trying to develop a test case, where that's where we want to encourage, right? So then basically those developer will look for the examples of existing test case and say, okay, how can I see those examples and then start writing my own, right? So but if you mix different framework into the same folder, then it can cause some confusion on the developer. Okay, which one should I follow in this folder?
I have a comments here. Volodymyr is speaking. So currently I a little bit agree with Mircha, to be honest. So it should be like that as it is in the pull request here. So we have test cases folder, we have functional folder, which means functional test cases, and here we are trying to put the functional test cases, which should be covered actually by the PTF. So as I understand, we don't plan to cover functional by the PyTest. So most of the
I think I wouldn't make that assumption. I don't think we should make that arbitrary assumption. What you're saying is if they're all functional, then we know implicitly they're all PTF. I would rather not make that assumption because that's restricting. Yeah, we may have functional tests written in SAI-Challenger.
We can have scale written in PTF maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we will have scale like performance. We can have separate folder for this.
Yeah, I'm actually on Gohan's side on this.
I think that Gohan is saying that if a test case is written, if one doesn't know whether it will run on all types of frameworks that we have, then it's very confusing, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about software project here, not the user experience. The user experience is press the button and it runs. And the user doesn't care what folder it's in, but the developer does. So
why developer cannot have a good experience as well?
He can, but that's in the eye of the beholder.
Okay.
Maybe we should.
So where do we go from here? Yeah.
Why don't we take this? Maybe have a debate, an extended debate offline. We can do that in a smaller group. I think it's good that we got all these different opinions out on the table. This brings it out, and then maybe we can save people's time while we haggle.
Okay. Okay.
Good discussion.
Yeah, really good, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
So maybe the goal is by next week it's resolved and to bring it up again.
Yeah. And I think the big takeaway though is when we start putting them under this main test directory, eventually it'll be also more ready to put into the SONiC management framework, right? Because we're consolidating and curating this in the right way.
And in SONiC management, they are grouped by feature, ACL feature, BGP feature, and so on.
Are there different frameworks in those groupings?
It's SONiC management framework. But this is what I'm saying. SONiC management can be like the all-encompassing thing. Underneath, maybe it starts like you have different topologies under. You have even a key site topologies there with key site hardware. You have T0, T2, and so on, T2 lag, which assume a different VM container configuration and connections. Assume different tests, but so it could be a BMV2 topology. It could be a dash switch topology, a dash DPU one. I mean, those could be controlled from that perspective, from the test topology that is being required. You require 2 VMs with a BMV2, or you require a DPU with 2 ports, 100 gig, or you require a, I don't know, 400 gig smart switch or something.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we'll take it offline.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's discuss, because see that from other hand, we right now have in that folder only one type of test cases, and like we are trying to moment like anticipate everything what's possible to be placed here. So also like we don't really know what will happen. Like, okay, let's discuss it separately and have a continuation next week. And
That's why
I wanted to add.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say that's why we have the best and the brightest here, I guess, to think about it.
Yeah, so like
Well,
everybody who has some opinion, so please comment
Right.
in that PR. So that's would be good.
Yeah.
Okay. Anton, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
Yeah. So that's I wanted also to add that I changed Docker files and after I make APR, so I see that my verification is failing because like I cannot rebuild and push anything to the Docker. So it's also the Docker repository. So that's also a question how we can submit PR when from a different repository. So right now see that I'm from Trash Maintel pushing and checks failing because Dockers are not updated.
Yeah, you can't publish it from a fork. That's
Yeah. So that's and the question is how to verify, or what will be a procedure in that case, whether I need to put a command here. So that's verify that trust me. So like at my PC.
Yeah. Did you look at the Docker workflows document that I wrote?
Probably not so good. So
Yeah, take a look at that.
Can you put a link in the chat, Chris?
Yes, I will do that.
Okay.
And it also answers some questions that Gohan had on this topic. About security holes in publishing to ACR. But once again, you can't publish to Docker ACR unless you're a maintainer. Put it that way. That's kind of the bottom line. You have to have the proper right access to even do that. And it's sort of a bit of a, let's say, a firewall.
Chris, you will send a link.
I'm looking for it right now.
And Anton, you had a question last week too about updates on SONiC management overlay test plan to look at, and Prince had mentioned a PR might be ready this week. So wanted to check in on that.
Yeah, if it's already ready, because I like last week I checked on Friday, it was not nothing there. So if any updates, I will have.
Hey Prince, did you have an update?
This is the SONiC management PR, right? We are
Some overlay test plan to look at or something.
Yeah. So the configuration part is ready. There's a draft PR, but the implementation is still a work in progress. So I'm thinking it will be ready by this week.
Okay.
So maybe once the PR is ready, I will post it on to this thread.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you
so
so
Chris,
much.
here's your link.
It's in the chat. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's the link.
Okay.
That's just to read through it and try to understand it. But you always need the cooperation of a maintainer to get a new image into ACR. Forks can't publish. And so probably read through this and get back to me and we can talk about it. I don't want to reiterate to the community that we should probably have more than one person who is comfortable with helping to manage this process.
Mhm.
And that's why I documented it. And there may be even a better version of this. There may be a better way to do this that I hadn't thought of. But I came up with 3 ways to do this. And there's a better way. I'd love to know about it.
Okay. I'm always willing to help.
Yeah,
I
so
think it-
so
I-
so Chris, I didn't quite understand this part, the logic, right? So you mentioned that on the PR, you cannot push to the ACR. I think yes, you're right, because they shouldn't have the permission to do that. But it shouldn't prevent the PR testing, right? So what is the reason that the in the PR testing we have to download from the ACR?
No, if you go down, well, PR testing, it's sort of, there's a pre-testing phase, let's say. If you go down, let's say there's one was developed from a fork. A developer can test a new Docker file in their local repo.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Okay? It shows that in step, I think step 4 in that little picture there.
Yeah.
You can develop the Docker file locally, but ultimately, in the final stages, it needs to be uploaded to ACR. And so you have to go through a branch.
No. Before the PR being checked in, right? So they shouldn't be able to, they should not be able to upload to the ACR, right?
Correct.
So because
Correct.
it's their private branch hasn't been reviewed, right? So
Yes.
but the question is why why prevent from us doing the PR testing? I mean, uploading to the ACR, official build uploading to ACR makes sense, but why fail to upload to ACR will prevent them from doing the PR testing? That's a question.
I don't have an answer to that, how to refer to an image that doesn't exist in the repo yet. So you can test it.
So that part, I guess, because it's in the PR test, right? So they put their changes, they put the Docker files, right? So isn't that we can build that the new Docker with that change Docker file, and then just use that locally to do the test, right? So we don't really have to upload to the ACR and then have another process to download from ACR than doing the test, right? So because it's just think about it, it's providing an environment where just like a developer's environment, there's some kind of VM or workers that build that private Docker and then using that Docker to do the test, right? So that should be able to doable. You don't have to really upload to the ACR, right? So
no, let me explain. I understand your question better. You could pull the PR branch into your workspace and manually do a make of that Docker image, and it'll be stored locally. Okay, you can do that.
You can or you cannot?
You can. Yes, you
can.
Yeah,
of course I can.
Manually
of course I can. Yeah, of course. But the CI system can also do that, right?
Yes, and this is maybe a I understand. So I attempted many months ago to streamline the CI process so that it's not rebuilding Docker images every time.
Right.
And it pulls them, and it sped it up from hours to minutes.
Right.
So in order to do that, then the normal CI process tries to pull the image, not make it every time.
I see. So, okay, but also okay. No, in that case, you actually need
You gave me an idea. I'll work on this. The idea is, right now I'm running some GitHub action files only in the main branch, like the publish.
Yeah.
But what I can do is and this is just like one line of code in each, maybe couple lines of code in the CI file. When we run CI on a fork, I can have it build the Docker image. Now that'll be a penalty, but it's only in the CI, right? No one cares. And then, so for a fork build, I can build the Docker image and it will test it without publishing. And then in a branch or the main repo, I can have it pull the image. That's another possibility.
Can the
But
image
we
be
need
versioned to
maybe
do the?
One at a
to say
time.
that's probably not all images need to rebuild, but only some of them, if we can somehow
Change
rectify
one.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long does it build that Docker, right? So if there's a change, how long does it?
It depends which one. There's probably 7 or 8 Docker files. If you're building gRPC from scratch, it could take hours on a machine, local machine. It could take 50 minutes maybe in the cloud. It's extremely slow. So I extracted and built gRPC all by itself as a library. That's an example of something that never changes. Some of the other images, like SciThrift server, it takes, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes. But if you do like a push, you want to see it happen pretty fast and get your CI feedback. And what we don't want is waiting an hour to see if it passed.
Yeah.
At least I don't want to wait an hour. But I think that we can probably use some fine tuning here, Gohan.
Because I think the Docker, right? So so maybe what we can do is that we can split the Docker into a few files, right? So therefore, this have a base layer, then it has some additional layer, right? So then we can put those mostly frequent changes in the top layer, so that normally, right? So you can just pull those base layer. I think like for example, you mentioned like the gRPC, right? So probably nobody's going to change that, right? I mean, if it's a original the gRPC, right? So then probably it doesn't really work to build it every time. So, but for the BMV2, those side libraries, those kind of things, maybe people will constantly changing that, and then we can put that top layer so that we can pull and get them, right? So basically I think every time, right? So what we did in the SONiC is we do an MD5 checksum for that Docker file, and we get that checksum, and when we upload the Docker file, we upload we tag that Docker file with that checksum and upload it. So then in the build process, right? So we always try to pull from the ACR on that particular checksum, and if it's successful, it means that has been built and uploaded, officially, right? Uploaded to the Docker registry so that you can pull. You don't have to rebuild it, right? However, if you try to pull that particular tag, which is the MD5 checksum, but you cannot find it, then okay, this Docker file has been changed. I don't really have it in the repositories. I have to build myself. So that's one way we use to address this, achieve the balance between
That's another option.
when to pull and what to pull, and also save the time for the.
Yeah, that's another optimization too.
That's smart, yeah.
But just so you know, it already is broken into smaller images. I'll just quickly take the screen over and show you this old PR that way back in what was this, July?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's I've already trimmed it down quite a bit. I think it's just the fine tuning of the difference between a PR versus a developer versus there's some fine tuning that can go on there. So it's already optimized as much as I can make it for now. I think it's just the images. The images are optimized. Just I think some of those nuances of publishing versus building can be improved.
Yep.
So I'll think about that.
Okay. So that's all I had for today. Unless, I don't know if we have time for Rashma to go into the whole Open Compute Project SAI changes, that kind of thing. Do you want to save it for next time, Rashma?
Sure, sounds good, Christina.
Okay.
We just upstreamed the code changes that we have done so far for the auto-generated test framework and the test cases as well. Yeah. we have seen that.
Oh, can we use the main branch from SAI now?
Yeah. If needed.
Is someone going to do a PR?
Maybe we will talk about it then. Okay.
Chris, we already discussed this probably last time. I think if can we use the upstream version, so we have to do some modification there before moving the main. So
Okay.
we can talk about this. So
Okay. So it's still work in progress. Right, it's the PTF. That's the issue.
yes. PDF changes.
We still have 11 minutes if Reshma wants to talk.
Yeah.
Like if
Sure. Go for it, Reshma.
There is maybe we can discuss next time, but Vladimir Mitnick, what is the part that you were saying? Can you please elaborate a little bit more, or do you want to talk next time?
We can talk about this next time. I'm not sure we have time still to talk about this, but we have some changes on the PTF itself. PTF framework. There is some fix which needs to be first merged into the PTF. Then we should put this changes into the SAI, or we will need to change the submodule, PTF submodule in the dash. So I can provide probably next time the changes and show to everyone.
Good. Okay. So I'll go ahead and send notes like I usually do. I always learn something from this group. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording now. Looks like some of you are going to be in Seattle next week for ONE.